Hi folks, this is number 3 from the intersections of lines and curves. So here they're asking us to determine the point or points of intersection, if any, between the line y equals negative x plus 1 and this circle. Okay, so slightly different scenario from what we've seen so far. So as before, let's look at the possibilities. So if I've got some circle, okay, well, I think you won't be too surprised to see what the options are. So certainly I could have the line which goes through the circle and crosses it 2 times. Okay, so we have 2 possible solutions. Okay, we could have the line which is perfectly tangent to the circle. It only touches at 1 point. Okay, and then of course the line could just not cross the circle at all. So as we've seen before, we've got 2 possible solutions, 1 possible solution, or the possibility of no solution. So we should expect to be solving a quadratic equation. Okay, so let's take a look at how we're going to do that analytically. Now, in the previous 2 examples, we were able to use elimination or substitution. Here, I don't think elimination is going to work because, I've got y here on its own, but to try to get y on its own, that's not going to work at all um, because it's in this uh, binomial that's being squared. Now, the x, I could solve for the x on its own, but that would involve taking a square root, which I certainly want to try to avoid. So it looks like in this case here, it's going to be substitution because I already have y that's isolated in terms of x. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Here, wherever I see a y, I'm going to replace it by negative x plus 1. Of course, I could also solve for x and replace that, but since it's already done for me, I think I'll just use that. So here we've got x squared, okay, plus, so wherever I see a y, I'm now going to replace that by negative x plus 1. And we've got the minus 2 squared and then equal to 2. Okay? And when you take a look at this, well, this is going to be a quadratic equation. So here we've got x squared plus, so what are we left with in this bracket? So we've got negative x 1 minus 2 minus 1, okay, squared equals 2. Okay, so now let's square this binomial here. So what do we have? We have going to square the first. So negative x times negative x is positive x squared. 2 times the product of first and last. Okay, so here negative x times negative 1 is just positive x, and 2 times that, so plus 2x. And then square the last. So negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. Okay, and now let's simplify and get everything on one side of the equation. Okay, so here we've got x squared plus x squared, so we've got 2x squared. Now here we've got the 2x, so plus 2x, and here we just have plus 1, but then we're also bringing this 2 to the left side of the equation, so we have 1 minus 2, negative 1, okay, equals 0. And now we have it in the form that we need in order to be able to use the quadratic formula. So let's look for that here. So negative b, so negative 2 plus or minus square root of b squared. So 2 squared minus 4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is negative 1, all over 2 times a, so 4. Okay, so x is equal to negative 2 plus or minus, and let's calculate that term inside the square root. So we've got 2 squared is 4, minus 4 times 2 times negative 1 is equal to 12. Okay, so root 12 all over 4. So again, if I was looking for exact answers, I'd expect you to simplify that root 12, as we've seen. But since I'm looking to approximate to 2 decimal places, I don't really need to do that first. Okay, so let's take a look. We have negative 2 plus the square root of 12, okay, equals, and divided by 4. Okay, so that's 0.37, I suppose. Okay, and our other option is negative 2 minus the square root of 12, equals, and divided by 4, and that's negative 1.37. Okay, so that means we have 2 points of intersection. Okay, so now we just have to find the y values. So again, I have the option to either use the linear equation or the circle equation, and certainly I'm going to use the linear equation. Okay, so here y equals, let's call this a and call this b. So ya will be negative 0.37 plus 1. So that's just negative 0.37 plus 1 is equal to 0.63. Okay, could have probably done that in my head, but want to be sure. So negative, and here the x value is negative 1.37. Okay, plus 1. Whoops, plus 1. And I think that one there we can do in our heads because this ends up being positive 1.37 plus 1, so 2.37. Okay, so our points of intersection approximated to 2 decimal places are, so 0.37 and 0.63. And our second one is negative 1.37 and 2.37. Okay, now let's, might as well use Desmos to check this out. Haven't set it up yet, so we'll just do it here. There's Desmos. So let's now put in the equation of the circle. So we have x squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 2. Okay, so we'll make that a little bigger. And now here we'll put in the equation of the line, which is negative x plus 1. Okay, so here, not surprisingly, we see 2 points of intersection. So let's see what they are. So we've got negative 1.37 and 2.37. So that was one of the ones we found. And the other one here, 0.37 and 0.63. So the exact answers that we found. Okay. So again, we see here a very similar scenario. However, in this case here, it was substitution that was useful to us and not elimination. Okay, that's it for this one.